Holiday shopping season is in full swing, which means giant online retailers like Amazon are working overtime to move millions of packages before Christmas. But at what cost? A recent investigation finds Amazon warehouse workers are bearing the brunt of it with injury rates that more than double the industry average. Yesterday, I spoke to Reveal reporter Will Evans. He worked on that investigation from the Center for Investigative Reporting and explained the scope of these injuries.
Well, I think what you're seeing now is a lot of scrutiny on the company. What I set out to do was to get the official injury rates to show the true scope of how many people are getting hurt. You hear stories about bad working conditions, but and Amazon says it's takes safety very seriously. So where's the truth there, and what are the actual numbers? We were able to get the official records from more than 20 Amazon fulfillment centers around the country, and they showed rates of serious injuries more than double the industry average, and at some warehouses much higher, up to 6 times the industry average.
So let's get some specifics here. What kind of injuries did you find? What did the injury records show? Just give me a sense, because you profiled some individuals here who tried as best as they could to keep up with Amazon's requirements, but were unable to do so.
That's right. So you see everything from concussions to fractures to lacerations, but many of the injuries, most of them, are classified as sprains and strains. But these are often debilitating injuries that come from just the body wearing out. Workers are held to very high production quotas, and so you have workers who need to process hundreds of items per hour. They know that if they don't hit their production quotas, they'll be fired. And they sacrifice their bodies to it. They throw out their back, they injure their shoulders or their knees, or they get carpal tunnel. So I talked to one woman, for example, who has bulging discs and a back sprain, chronic pain that's unlikely to go away, and she can barely walk upstairs now.
You know, one of the things that I think will be surprising to a lot of people is in the last 5 years or so, Amazon has increasingly added robots to some of their warehouses, which has meant that folks who place orders on Amazon.com and who expect very fast delivery, if you're a Prime member, get them at a much faster rate. But talk about the inability of humans to compete with the work that the robots are doing when it comes to getting these packages out the door.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's ironic because Amazon says these robots are actually making the job safer for the humans, because instead of having to walk miles of warehouse space every day, the people stand in their station, the robots bring the items to them. But because the robots are so fast and efficient, the humans are held to much higher production quotas. Again, hundreds more items per hour. And so they're going faster and faster to get those packages out the door. And as one former Amazon safety manager I talked to said, humans are tapping out. They can't keep up. These production quotas are going higher and higher and higher because technology allows Amazon to push them, but the humans are the ones who's having their bodies break down.
You know, I did find remarkable, there was one gentleman that you interviewed who had something like a 98% plus efficiency rate, and he was fired from Amazon because they expect, am I correct in saying that they expect a 100% efficiency rate?
They do expect 100%. And, these workers are scanning items, and those scans get fed into a computer system. And so their rate of productivity is being measured constantly, tracked throughout the day, fed real time to managers who know if they slow down, who know if they go on a bathroom break. And yeah, that worker who you're referring to, for 1 week, he had a 98% plus production rate. I mean, he was hitting 98% of his expected rate, and that earned him his final written warning before termination because it wasn't 100%. So these are very precise. ruthless production demands that workers know that if they don't hit them, they're not going to have their job anymore. And so they're many times willing to sacrifice their bodies to get to hit those numbers.
And you point out that even though there are some who actually get off on the adrenaline, they like the hustle and bustle and the camaraderie that they have working in some of these places, that it's just not humanly possible in some cases for people to just keep up with the requirements. So my other question, I guess, is what's the pay like?
So Amazon made a big deal last year about raising its minimum wage to $15 an hour, and that's was seen as a big deal. There were a lot of workers who were happy about that, but I talked to workers who were there for that, but then ended up out of work with a serious injury, and they're not making anything now because they were injured. So that's the problem. There are workers who say, yeah, they're great benefits. I enjoy the working environment of my peers. Some people even say it's not that hard to hit these rates. I do it really well. But then when they get injured, they find that it all falls apart and they're left, in some cases, with no income and trying to figure out what to do now.
Will, how has Amazon responded to your reporting?
Amazon says that you're seeing these high rates of injury because Amazon is very good at recording injuries, that other companies underreport their injuries, but Amazon is very diligent at making sure that all injuries get counted. The problem with that is, of course, there are federal regulations for counting injuries. This is the way you are supposed to count your injuries. So if you count them correctly, I mean, that's great, but you're still not supposed to have this high a number of injuries. Even Amazon's former safety managers say that the company knows these rates are too high. It's unacceptable, and the company needs to do more to lower them. And you have workers who say, some of whom say they've felt intimidated to report their injuries. So we don't know exactly the true extent.
And I guess finally, I mean, you may not have an answer to this, but I guess for people who are watching this and who are reading your reporting, you would want for the work that you do and the extensive investigative work that you do to have some kind of change, to affect some kind of change. Is it too much to ask the people who are ordering, in other words, me, the consumers who want their Amazon items and they want them yesterday? I'm guessing there's nothing that we can really do unless we agree that the speed of which things are delivered to us is not as important as Amazon has made it seem to be. In other words, the company has been built on its ability to get you items very quickly so that you don't have to go out if you don't want to a bricks and mortar store. But what can people do?
That is a question. I think, it's hard to see a company like Amazon actually slowing down because speed is such a core element of its success. I suppose you could add more workers and lower the production demands that way. I think, Amazon says over and over again that it's obsessed with its customers and what the customers want. Amazon believes customers want speedy shipping, above all else. But if customers don't want that at the expense of all of these workers, then maybe the company should know about that and maybe they would change their ways. I don't know.
It would be interesting for them to, sort of ask their customers about whether or not, in other words, we get a lot, every time you order something from Amazon, they ask you how your experience was, and you can rate products and you can rate the experience of shopping on Amazon. Might be interested to find out from their consumers if they care about the workers who pack those boxes for us and who deliver those items to us, because I would guess, and this is just a guess, but that a lot of people would say, yeah, they care about, their fellow citizens who are struggling to ensure that everybody has a happy Christmas or a wonderful Christmas or has a great birthday or gets that, one item that they really need, and that people would feel that they have some kind of kindred spirit with those who are toiling to deliver us those items. But I don't know. That would be an interesting survey for them to undertake. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. Will Evans, really great reporting, a really in-depth article on Reveal. Thank you for sharing it with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on.
We reached out to Amazon regarding this report, and they tell us, quote, it's inaccurate to say that Amazon fulfillment centers are unsafe, and efforts to paint our workplace as such based solely on the number of injury recordings is misleading given the size of our workforce. They add, ensuring the safety of associates in our building is our #1 priority, and we invest heavily in safety.